The rain was not supposed to fall that night. I remember because I had checked the sky before dinner. It was clear, full of stars, the kind of sky that tricks you into thinking the world is peaceful. But by midnight, the heavens had opened and I was outside, barefoot, running. My feet hit the wet ground over and over, mud, stones. I did not feel the pain. I could not feel anything except my heart slamming against my chest and the air burning in my lungs as I ran. I kept looking behind me. The house was still lit, every window glowing orange through the rain. And I knew that inside that house, she was watching, waiting. I pressed myself against the wall at the edge of the compound, shaking. She is trying to kill me, I whispered to no one, to the rain, to God. My mother-in-law is trying to kill me. And then, headlights. A car engine roaring through the darkness, coming fast, coming straight toward me. I screamed. Cut. My name is Adaeze, and this story begins not with danger. It begins with love. I was 26 years old when I met Chukwuemeka. Everyone called him Emeka. He was 31, an engineer, calm, responsible. The kind of man who opens the car door for you before he opens his own. The kind of man your mother prays you find. We met at a mutual friend's birthday in Lagos. He was standing by the food table, eating jollof rice with the confidence of someone who had no intention of impressing anyone. I liked that immediately. We talked for 2 hours. He walked me to my Uber. He texted me that same night. Within 3 months, we were in love. Within a year, he was kneeling in front of me with a ring. I said yes before he finished the sentence. When my mother heard, she wept, happy tears. She said, Adaeze, God has not forgotten you. I believed her. I should have known then that sometimes the thing that looks like a blessing is only the beginning of a test. Emeka's family was from Anambra. His mother's name was Lolo Ngozi. She was a tall woman, fair-skinned. She always wore neat wrappers and expensive head ties. She had the posture of someone who believed she was important and the smile of someone who had learned to smile whether she meant it or not. The first time I met her, she held my hand and looked me up and down. "You are beautiful," she said. She said it the way you describe an object, not a compliment, an assessment. But I told myself I was overthinking. I smiled. I said, "Thank you, Mama." She looked at Emeka and said, "She is fine, but she is thin." Emeka laughed. "Mama, she is not thin." Lulu Ngozi looked at me again and said nothing more. That was the first time. I told myself it meant nothing. I was wrong. We got married in August, a beautiful ceremony in Anambra. 3 days of celebration, music and food and family. Emeka cried when he saw me walking. I cried when I saw him cry. After the wedding, we moved into our home in Enugu, a big house on Ugu Road. 3 bedrooms, a large sitting room, a kitchen with Italian tiles. Emeka had worked hard for it. I was proud of him. What I did not know until after the wedding was that Lulu Ngozi had already decided she would move in with us. Emeka told me 2 days before she arrived. "My mother wants to stay with us for a few months," he said. "She said she wants to help you settle in." I looked at him. "Emeka, we just got married." "I know, but she's my mother. I cannot tell her no." I took a breath. "Fine, a few months." She arrived with 4 boxes, a wrapper bag, and a small cooler full of soup she had made herself. She walked into my kitchen, opened my pot, and began rearranging things. Your kitchen is not organized, she told me. Let me show you how to keep it. I stood in the doorway of my own kitchen and watched another woman rearrange my home. Emeka was in the sitting room watching football. I said nothing.
I told myself, she is his mother. Be patient. It is temporary. But Lolongozi had not come to visit. She had come to stay. The first few weeks were uncomfortable but manageable. Lolongozi cooked most of the meals. She cleaned the sitting room before I woke up. She greeted my visitors politely. But underneath all of it, there were small cuts. Every day, small cuts. Adaeze, this soup is too watery. My son likes it thick. Adaeze, you slept late again. Your wife should be up before her husband. Adaeze, you are laughing too loudly. It is not ladylike. Adaeze, you are wearing that to church? Every sentence started with my name, like a correction, like a school teacher marking red lines through an essay. At first, Emeka would smile and say, "Mama, leave her alone." But he never said it firmly. He always laughed it off, like it was nothing, like his mother was just being funny. It was not funny. I began to dread coming downstairs in the morning. I would lie in bed, listening for her footsteps in the kitchen, bracing myself for whatever she would find wrong with me that day. One evening, I sat on the bed and said to Emeka, "Your mother does not like me." He frowned. "What are you saying? She likes you. She just has a strong personality." "Emeka, she criticizes everything I do." "She is old-fashioned. That is how she was raised. She means no harm." I stared at him. "She told your cousin that I looked too fair to be from a good family. I heard her." Emeka was quiet. She was probably joking. She was not joking. He reached for my hand. "Adaeze, please. She is my mother. Just give her time. She will come around." I lay down and faced the wall. That night, I told myself, maybe he is right. Maybe I am reading too much into things. Maybe I just need to be more patient. What was the version of me that still believed everything would be fine? She did not survive much longer. 6 weeks after Lolongozi moved in, I started getting sick. It began with my stomach, a dull pain after meals, sometimes nausea. I thought it was stress. I thought it was adjusting to a new home, a new life. I bought antacids from the pharmacy. I drank ginger tea. But it continued. Some mornings I woke up feeling as if the life had been pressed out of me. Heavy, dizzy, my body weak in ways I could not explain. Emeka took me to the hospital. The doctor ran tests. Everything came back normal. "You are not sick," the doctor said. "Could be stress or anxiety. Are you sleeping well? Eating well?" "I am eating well," I said. The doctor gave me vitamins and told me to rest. I went home and rested. But every time I ate, it got worse. One day, I noticed something. I only got sick when I ate food that Lolongozi had cooked. When Emeka brought takeout, I was fine. When I made my own food, I was fine. But on the days when Lolongozi placed food on the table for me, I was sick within hours. I stood in the kitchen doorway one evening, watching her stir a pot. She did not know I was there. She reached into the pocket of her apron and pulled out a small folded cloth. She opened it carefully. Inside was a dark powder. She glanced toward the hallway, and then she tipped a small amount into the pot. My blood turned cold. I stepped back into the corridor before she could see me. I stood there, hand over my mouth, heart hammering. Had I just seen what I thought I had seen? I went upstairs. I sat on the bed. I tried to breathe. "You are being paranoid," I told myself. "She's probably adding a spice, a local seasoning. You are imagining things." But I did not eat the food that night. I said I had a headache. Lolongozi looked at me across the table with that smile of hers, that slow, careful smile. "You should eat, Adaeze," she said softly.
You need your strength. Something about the way she said it made my stomach turn.
Her name was Mrs. Okafor. She lived in the compound directly to our left. A wide woman with a loud laugh and eyes that noticed everything. She had lived on Ugu Road for 14 years. She knew every family on that street. One afternoon, she knocked on our gate while Emeka was at work and Lolongozi was in her room resting. I opened the gate and she stepped inside, looked around quickly and lowered her voice. "Adaeze," she said, "I want to talk to you, woman to woman." I felt something tighten in my chest. "What is it?" She looked toward the house. "That's your mother-in-law. I have been watching. I do not like what I see." "What do you mean?" "Yesterday morning, I was outside early, very early. I saw her standing at the back of the compound. A man came. I do not know him. Old man. He gave her something wrapped in black nylon. She paid him and he left." I stared at Mrs. Okafor. "Who was the man?" She hesitated. "The way he was dressed, the way they spoke, I have seen that type before." She paused. "He was a herbalist, Adaeze, from Obiago area. People go to that man when they want something done." I could not speak. "I am not saying I know what is happening," Mrs. Okafor said quickly. "I am only saying what I saw. And I am saying to you, be careful. Watch your food. Watch everything." She squeezed my hand, looked at the house one more time, and walked back to her compound. I stood in the middle of the yard for a long time. The sun was hot, but I was shaking. I had a younger sister named Chisom. She was 22, still in university, and she had always been the brave one between us. The one who said what others were afraid to say. I called her that same evening from the bathroom, the tap running so the noise could cover my voice. "Chisom," I whispered, "I think something is wrong." I told her everything. The powder in the soup, Mrs. Okafor, the sickness. "The strange man with the black nylon?" Chisom was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Adaeze, get out of that house. I cannot just leave. Emeka is there. Then tell Emeka. He will not believe me. Every time I try to talk to him about his mother, he defends her. Then record something, find proof, but please, please do not eat anything that woman touches." After the call, I sat on the edge of the bathtub staring at the tiles. My sister's voice was still in my ears. "Get out of that house." But it was my house. My husband was there. My life was there. Where was I supposed to go? Over the next 2 weeks, I began to pay close attention to everything. I started keeping food in a small cooler in our bedroom. I bought snacks, noodles, tinned food. I told Emeka I was on a diet that required specific meals. He did not question it. Lolongozi noticed. "You are not eating my food," she said one afternoon. Not a question, a statement. Her eyes flat. "I told you, Mama, diet." "Diet." She repeated the word like it tasted bitter. "You are already thin. Why are you dieting?" I smiled. "Doctor's advice." She looked at me for a long moment. Then she walked away. That night, I heard voices downstairs. It was late, past midnight. Emeka was asleep beside me. I crept to the top of the stairs. Lolongozi was on the phone, her voice low, urgent. I sat on the stairs and listened. "She is not eating it anymore," she was saying. "I think she suspects something. No, the boy does not know anything. He will not know anything. He never listens to her." I
told you, Chuku. I told you from the beginning, this girl is not for my son. She is not from our people. She will bring shame to this family. Yes, we must try something else. There is still the other method. She paused, listening. Then she laughed, a soft, terrible laugh. She cannot live with my son's name. She will live without anything. That is all I want. I pressed my hand over my mouth. I crept back to the room. I lay down next to my sleeping husband. And for the first time since the marriage, I cried without making a sound. Because I finally understood. This was not about soup. This was not about spices or stress or a difficult mother-in-law. This woman wanted me gone. Not just out of the house. Gone. The next morning, I waited until Lolo Ngozi went to the market. I sat Emeka down. I told him everything from the beginning. The powder in the soup, Mrs. Okafor and the herbalist, the phone call on the stairs. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet. Then he said, Adaeze. I waited. Do you hear yourself? I felt the air go out of me. Emeka, you are telling me that my mother is trying to poison you, that she hired the herbalist, that she's on the phone planning to destroy you? I hate her. You heard her talking on the phone at midnight. You do not know who she was talking to. You do not know what conversation. Emeka, she said my name. She said I am not from your people. She said there is another method. Adaeze. He stood up. His voice was controlled, but I could see the anger underneath it. I will not sit here and listen to you attack my mother based on night conversations and suspicions from a nosy neighbor. I stared at him. He's trying to kill me, I said quietly. He's an old woman trying to adjust to a new life with a new daughter-in-law, and you are making it into a crime. He walked out of the room. I sat alone in the sitting room. The refrigerator hummed. The clock ticked. The curtains moved in the small breeze from the window. And I thought, I am completely alone. 4 days later, Emeka traveled to Abuja for work. He would be gone for 5 days. The night after he left, I was in the bathroom. I had just finished my shower. The floor was wet, which was normal. But as I stepped toward the door, I slipped. I fell hard. My shoulder hit the wall. My knee hit the floor. I cried out in pain. I lay there for a moment, shaking. When I sat up, I noticed something. The bath mat was gone. I always kept a bath mat in that bathroom. I had placed it there myself when we first moved in. But it was not there. I got up slowly, limping, and opened the bathroom cabinet under the sink. The bath mat was folded neatly inside. Someone had removed it and hidden it. I looked up toward the ceiling. Lolo Ngozi was in the house. She had been the only other person in the house all day. I wrapped my towel around me and stood in the middle of the bathroom. My knee was bleeding. My shoulder was beginning to swell. And I thought of the phone call. There is still the other method. I understood. The poison was getting harder because I had stopped eating her food. So she was trying something else. A fall. An accident. Who would question a wet bathroom floor? Who would blame a mother-in-law for a simple accident? No one. No one. I called Chisom that night and told her about the bathroom. I am coming, she said immediately. No, Chisom, I am coming tomorrow. Pack your things tonight. I will come and take you out of there. I cannot leave just like that. Emeka is in Abuja. And by the time he comes back, you could be in a hospital. Or worse. Adaeze, listen to me. You are not being dramatic. A woman tried to poison your food, hired a herbalist, and
removed your bath mats so you would fall. This is not a difficult mother-in-law. This is a dangerous person. I sat on the bedroom floor, holding the phone with both hands. What if I am wrong? I whispered. Then you are wrong from the safety of somewhere else. But you are not wrong. She came the next morning. She sat with me in the sitting room while I packed a bag upstairs. Lolongozi was in her room. The house was quiet. But as I came down the stairs with my bag, Lolongozi appeared in the hallway. She looked at the bag. She looked at Chisom. She looked at me. Where are you going? She asked. To visit my family, I said. Her eyes narrowed. Emeka knows about this. I will call him. She stepped forward. One step. Just one. But something about the way she moved made Chisom stand up. Lolongozi looked at her. Then she looked at me. And she smiled. That slow, careful smile. Run if you want, she said quietly. This house will be here when you come back. And you will come back. A wife always comes back. Chisom took my hand. We walked to the car. I did not look back. Chisom took me to her mother's house in Oka. 3 days of rest, good food, sleep. But my mind would not rest. I called Emeka from my mother's house and told him I had left temporarily. He was furious. You left my mother alone in our house? You just walked out? Emeka, I left because I was afraid. Afraid of what? Of an old woman? Emeka, please come home early, please. There are things I need to show you. He hung up. He came back from Abuja on the 4th day, not the 5th. Maybe some part of him felt something. I do not know. He went to the house first. I found out later what happened. He walked into the house to find Lolongozi in the kitchen with a visitor. The visitor was a man, old, in a traditional attire. Between them on the kitchen table was a bowl of something dark, a small calabash, and a photograph of me. Emeka stood in the doorway of his own kitchen and stared at his mother performing something over a photograph of his wife. Lolongozi looked up. She saw his face. She tried to speak, to explain, to say it was a prayer, a protection, a blessing. But Emeka had seen. And Emeka remembered everything I had told him. Every detail he had dismissed. Every tear he had waved away. He called me while I was sitting in my mother's compound drinking tea. Adaeze, he said. His voice was different, broken. I knew before he said anything. Come home, he said. Please. I came back to Enugu the next evening. The sky was clear when I arrived. By midnight, it had changed. I do not know what conversation happened between Emeka and his mother while I was gone. I do not know what was said, what was admitted, what was denied. Emeka did not tell me everything. He only told me that she had tried to deny it, that she had said the herbalist was just a family friend, that the photograph was for spiritual protection, not harm. Emeka did not believe her. But Lolongozi believed she had lost, and a woman like her did not accept loss quietly. At 1 a.m., I woke up to shouting. Lolongozi's voice, sharp and high, coming from outside the bedroom. And Emeka's voice, steady, trying to contain her. I went to the door. You married a witch, she was screaming. That girl has charmed you. You cannot see. A son does not throw his mother away for a woman he met in Lagos. I did everything for you. I sacrificed everything. Mama, stop. You want to choose her over me? Then let me show you what that choice costs. I heard a door slam. and then footsteps coming toward our room. I locked the bedroom door, but she was not coming for the door. I heard her go down the stairs. I heard the front door open, and then through the bedroom window, I saw her walking toward the compound gate in the dark, in her nightwear, moving fast. Something told me to follow. I do not know why. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was fear. Maybe I needed to see what she was doing. I came out of the room. Emeka was already going down the stairs. I followed. By the time I reached the compound gate, the rain had started, and Lolo Ngozi was at the street. She had a phone to her ear. She was speaking to someone fast in a low voice, pointing at the house. Then she saw me. She lowered the phone slowly. She stared at me. And then I saw headlights at the end of the street. A car, moving fast, coming toward us. I froze. Everything in my body locked. The rain was pouring. My feet were bare on the wet ground. The headlights were getting closer, faster. And Lolo Ngozi was standing between me and the gate, blocking my way back. She did not move. She stood there in the rain, and she watched the car come. And I understood. This was it. This was the moment. I ran. Not towards the gate, sideways. I threw myself against the compound wall to the left, pressing into the shadow, and the car flew past, honking, skidding in the rain, and missed me by less than a meter. It was not the driver's fault. They had not seen me in the dark. But Lolo Ngozi had seen me, and she had not moved. I turned and looked at her. She was breathing hard, her eyes wide. And in her face, for the first time, I did not see calculation or cruelty. I saw fear. Because she had not expected me to run. And behind me, Emeka was standing in the compound gate. He had seen everything. Emeka called his uncle that same night, a man named Chief Obi, his father's elder brother, a man both he and his mother respected. By 7 a.m., Chief Obi was in our sitting room. Mrs. Okafor came too. She had been awake since the night before, watching from her window. She had seen everything. She was willing to say so. Lolo Ngozi sat in the armchair in the corner. She would not look at me. Chief Obi spoke to her for a long time in Igbo. I do not know all of what was said. Emeka translated parts of it for me later. Chief Obi had asked her directly, did she go to a herbalist? Did she put things in her daughter-in-law's food? Lolo Ngozi was quiet for a long time. And then she said, I did what a mother is supposed to do. I protected my son. From what? Chief Obi asked. She could not answer. Because the truth was, there was nothing to protect him from. I had never wronged her. I had never disrespected her. I had only loved her son and tried to build a life with him. And she had decided from the moment she met me that I was not enough. Not from the right place. Not the girl she had chosen. And rather than accept that her son had made his own choice, she had decided to erase me. Chief Obi told her that she would leave our house that day. He arranged for her to go to her daughter's home in Onitsha. She stood up from the chair slowly. She picked up her wrapper. She looked at Emeka. You are choosing this woman over your own mother, she said. Not screaming now. Quiet. Deadly quiet. Emeka looked at her and said nothing. She looked at me last. I held her gaze. She walked out. I heard her bedroom door open and close as she packed. I sat in the sitting room and stared at the wall. Emeka came and sat beside me. We did not speak for a long time. Then he said, Adaeze, I am sorry. I turned to look at him. I am sorry, he said again. I did not listen. I should have listened. His eyes were wet.
You kept telling me something was wrong, and I kept choosing to believe it was nothing. I failed you. I looked at my husband, at this man I had loved, who had loved me, who had also, without meaning to, left me alone in the same house as someone who wanted me dead. I know you did not mean to. I said, that does not make it okay. No, I said quietly, it does not. We sat in silence as we heard his mother's footsteps overhead, moving from room to room, taking her things.
3 weeks later, Emeka and I went to see a counselor, a pastor in Enugu who was known for working with couples in difficult situations. It was not easy. There were many conversations that needed to happen. About trust, about who Emeka would be when his loyalty was tested, about who I was after months of fear and isolation and a near miss in the dark. Lolongozi never apologized to me directly, not with words. There was a message through Chief Obi, something about her wanting peace and hoping we could all move forward. I did not respond to the message. Maybe one day, maybe not. What I know is this: I survived. Not because I was strong in the way movies show, not because I fought back with fire, but because I paid attention when something inside me said, this is not right. Because my sister came when I called. Because a neighbor chose not to look away. Because eventually my husband opened his eyes. But I also know this: there are women right now who are in that house, eating the food, doubting themselves, telling themselves they are overthinking, adjusting, shrinking, and no one is listening. So if you are watching this and something feels wrong, please hear me. Your instincts are not drama. Your body knowing something is off is not paranoia. A home that is making you sick is not just stress. You deserve to be safe in your own house, in your own marriage, in your own life. I almost did not get to say that. I almost did not get to say anything. The woman who called me daughter was planning my funeral. But I refused to lie down, and I am still here.